So, I made a video about the college campus protest, right? And I said nothing at all about the politics. Mentioned, did not mention Israel, Gaza, nothing. Um, this time I am going to mention it because I think there's a tendency for people my age, especially, to just not have an opinion on something and to simply say, for instance, when you hear about the civilian deaths, that's unfortunate, that's terrible, and then when you hear about Israel, to say, well, they forgot to defend themselves, but that's not really taking a position, that's not really taking a side, right? That's not really having a definite support for or against. So some of the arguments that have been said for Israel, for instance, there's this conservative guy. I forget his name. I really do forget his name. But he talks in a really high pitched voice like this, like his his testosterone replacement therapy has gone awry. But meaning he's getting bunk shit. But he talks like this, and he's like talks super fast. Anyway, he said something in this debate about in Britain bombing Dresden in World War II, right? Killing 2 million civilians. Was Britain wrong for their position in World War II? Yes or no? And then, of course, you say, well, no. Ha! There we have it then. Or even Bill Maher, somebody saying, guess what? Civilian casualties are part of war. It happens. Which is basically, that's not that loose of a paraphrase there. But I think what bothers, and I can't say I know what bothers people, but the thing is that let's make a comparison or analogy with the U.S. at war with Russia. The U.S. Russia at war. What are the odds that people are going to say Russian civilians are dying? This is wrong. Well, it would be both sides, right? Both sides would be killing civilians. God forbid. The future. I'm not trying to speak, something into being. I don't believe in that, but some people do. But that's not the. I don't think that hear anyone say, "Oh no, America's got to stop this war with Russia because we're killing Russian civilians." So what's the difference? And I think the difference is that the Israeli and Palestinian war seems to be very one-sided. You seem to have. It's not as if Israel's the bully per se, but you have a side that's not able to really do much in return, right? And so you have a attack and then a counterattack. So I mean, don't get mad at me. Some might say the initial attack wasn't an attack, but come on now. When you storm the gates and you start fucking shit up, it's an attack. I mean, whether or not it's in retaliation for something else, it's an attack. But the thing is, they're just like, okay, well, you attacked us, so now we're going to decimate you. And I think that's what people have a problem with. And we're going to decimate your citizens because there's no you there. And why is there no? And they call them cowards. They call them, well, they would just why don't they just show themselves? Well, it's kind of like why I don't show myself if 10 guys want to kick my ass. Why I don't just like face them all, right? I kind of might use another tactic. Because it'd be over pretty fast, and I would obviously be the loser. So there's that. But what happens is that there's always different talking points where if you say, people will say, well, look, Israel's got to defend itself. Okay, but that doesn't mean it has to do what it's doing. Yes, Israel has to defend itself. And, in war, there's casualties. Yes, in war, there's casualties. But is this really a war? I mean, is it a war in the sense that there's two sides that are fighting? It looks like there's an attack, and then now there's this, we're gonna decimate you type scenario going on. And so, and the other part about it too is people will point to the Palestinians' position. They want Israel erased from the river to the sea. Means, fuck you, Israel, die now. We don't want any kind of settlement. We don't want any kind of partitioning. We don't want part of. We want everything. We, like Bill Maher says, right? It means we want it all. And yeah, who cares? So what? If it does mean that, it does mean that. There's plenty of people in daily life who might. I mean, think of all the bosses in the world, right? Who have employees that just want to kill them, literally want to kill them, right? Does that mean the boss should preemptively, hire somebody to knock them off? I mean, there's people that literally want to kill their bosses. I guess that's why but they're or kill somebody else. But does that? But look at what would happen if there's somebody who wants to kill you. This right now, if there's somebody who wants to kill you, and you take preemptive measures and basically incapacitate them, that's a problem, right? You can't even shoot somebody who's pointing a gun at you in a lot of situations. I mean, I guess you could, but it's just we're making exceptions here. And the last part I'm going to touch on is that it's either you support Israel or you do not support Israel, I'm sorry. It's not that you support Israel or don't support Israel. It's whether you support the war as it is ongoing, as it's happening. If you support the war, or if you do not support the war, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about do you support Israel. Okay, we're not talking about do the Israelis have a right to defend themselves. We're not talking about that. We're talking about do you support the way this war is being conducted? It's a yes or a no. As far as I can tell, it's a yes. Civilians are going to die. Let's let them die. Let's kill them. And eventually we'll get to the people we're trying to shoot. That's either that or if your position is, no, I don't like that. I don't like all those children and dying and all this horrible famine and these torturous, agonizing conditions and suffering. I don't like. Then you don't support the war. You don't support the war. Then that's that. You see, so you support the war. You don't support the war. Either you're like, yep, fuck him, kill them, all of them, children too, or it's nah, I don't like the killing of the kids. In which case, you don't support the war. You support something being done, but you don't support the war. You support Israel, but you don't support the war. So I think it should be a little bit clear. You can support Israel, but not support the war. And I'll say that one more time before I go. You can support Israel, but not support the war.